Welcome back to the Distressed Princess. I'm Rhonda. I hope you're ready for Christmas crafting because I have some ideas that's going to blow your socks off. This is a chance to get creative. I gathered up everything in my house. I have not went shopping. This is just stuff that I had on hand. This is a new item at the Dollar Tree, this layer art thing. That is the only new thing. Everything else I've had, I'm repurposing or I have thrifted. Christmas DIY number one, I will be using one of these metal lampshades that I got at a junk store, $1 a piece. And I can't imagine what kind of a lamp base these used to go on, but I'm going to turn them into Christmas decor. The second ingredient you'll need for a project like this is a lamp base, and I'm using a candle holder. Now you can definitely use a puck light, but I have this thing that I found at the Dollar Tree. It's got an on-off switch that I really like, and it was going to work perfectly with how these metal rings go on this lampshade so that I would be able to glue it down and make it very workable. My candlestick was just a little rough for how I wanted it to look for this project, so I took some of my DIY white paint that has the top coat built in, and I went over the whole thing with it. And now I'm going to paint the metal lampshade with some Fusion mineral paint. I really love this paint because it's always so smooth, and it's in the color Manor Green. I had a vision for this lampshade all along, and it is bows. If you didn't know, bows are trending all over everything right now. And so I wanted to make my own gold bows for my lampshade, and the easiest way I could think of was to use polymer clay. So this is what's going to blow your socks off, how easy it is to make these gold bows, and you can put them on everything. So I'm using this polymer clay. You can use whatever color because they're going to get painted. You just roll it out like a worm, do a little crisscross, and bring the top down. Make sure that all of your little pieces are touching and they will stick together. And that's it. Pick it up and put it onto a baking sheet with parchment paper and bake in your preheated oven 275 for 15 minutes. When they come out of the oven, you'll have to let them cool, of course, for a while, and then they're ready for painting. Now, I discovered that they're going to need primed first, and I don't have any primer, so I'm using some white chalk paint. And then after they're all painted white, then the gold paint will really pop. So I am using some acrylic gold paint. You could also probably use spray paint. I tried some spray paint, but I didn't like the color that I had, so I'm just doing brush on acrylic gold. Now, I used these leaf stickers as placeholders because I wanted to make sure that my spacing was going to be right before I added any of my bows because I didn't want to damage my lampshade by having to remove crooked or misdone bows later. I'm just using hot glue here, but you want to do a combo hot glue E6000 for the permanent hold. I am loving this look with the bows and especially with that color green. Now, the next step for me was to attach my light to my metal lampshade, which it didn't bother me one bit to do because what else was I going to do with it? It was thrifted for $1 anyway. And this is just a $1 little light from the Dollar Tree. So I am happy as a lark with what I've got here. Christmas DIY number two is using this lantern that I got at the Dollar Tree sometime before Halloween. You can still get them in gold and other colors too. Since mine is black, then I had to paint it white. I'm using Snow White Waverly chalk paint, and I'm using just a rough coat so some of that black shines through. And I only did the outside. I left the inside black. The idea is to turn this into a frosty glass kind of lantern, and so you can use the cutting boards that you get at the Dollar Tree. That would work perfectly fine, but I'm using Mylar that I have on hand and a puck light. You also can use your Cricut to make vinyl decals like I have here, and on Cricut Access they have all these nativity scenes, or you can purchase vinyl decals on Etsy. Next, I measured the openings of the archways, and they were 4 by 7. So on my Mylar, I measured out 4 by 7 pieces. I only do 3 because I'm only going to have 3 panels. The back side is going to be left open so that I can turn off and on my puck light. And so I did a dry fit to make sure that my measurements were correct and that they would go in there and lay flat. I didn't want any waviness. That was the goal here. And after I was satisfied with that, then I began putting my vinyl decals down, and they went on really nicely. I used my measuring mat underneath so that I could make sure that everything was centered properly. And I wanted to point out here, make sure if you have these words or any wording that you are flipping your image, because it is going to shine through from the back side and read correctly. So I put the nativity on the front, and then the little animals and wise men went on the 2 side panels. To attach the first panel, I tried hot glue, but I did not like how the hot glue was stringing out and getting all over my nice clean panels. So then I went to plan B, which was some 2-sided kind of sticky tape. It came from the Dollar Tree, so if you have any kind of mounting tape or double-sided tape, I believe it will work just fine. I used 1 piece in each of the corners. And I couldn't wait. Look what happens when you put the puck light in. I zhuzhed it up with a couple pieces of greenery and a little plaid bow. The next Christmas DIY is so cute. I have these 2 little glass pieces that fit perfectly together to make a snowman. I also have this piece of old, I know it doesn't look old, but there's a big hole in it, old Afghan that I got at the thrift store. And I'm going to cut off a piece of this toilet paper tube to make a little sock hat for the snowman. So that's what I'm working on first, cutting out the material to make the sock hat. Now this idea works in the end, but you will be removing the toilet paper tubing later. Okay, so I saw that I thought it was not going to be big enough. So see, that's why I've cut it here, and now I'm cutting another piece of the toilet paper tube to join with it and make it a bigger circumference around so that it could go over my snowman's head. Then I wrapped the material around the edge of the toilet paper tube to see that it would fit like I wanted it to, and then I hot glued it, but from the inside, so it wraps around and you have no raw edges. So now you're beginning to form a sock hat look, and like I said, we'll be removing that roll from the inside later. But you need to tie off the top of your sweater material or Afghan material, blanket material, whatever you find in the thrift store for $1 will work for this. Tie it off with a piece of matching yarn, whatever color your little hat will be. You'll want the matching color yarn. And then take the scissors and lop off the top and fray out where it was crocheted or made, and it will make a cute little ball on top. Then I cut off one of the edge seams of this Afghan to make a matching scarf for my snowman. Nothing is assembled yet, and I was using this dry erase marker for the eyes so I could see what kind of placement I was getting with my hat and my scarf. and I attached the head to the body using hot glue. I hot glued down the hat and the scarf. I thought I was happy with everything. As it turned out, when I looked at it the next day, I wasn't so happy with the hat, so I wind up removing it again later. Yeah, here it is the next morning, and I don't like the hat. So I have ripped out that toilet paper roll that was in there. It was making it sit too high on his head. So this way it can squish down like a real sock hat would. I used dry eraser to put on eyes and buttons just so that I could visualize and see placement, but I'm going to do the permanent ones with a pencil eraser dipped in black chalk paint, and so just make dots for eyes and buttons down the front. I do think that this needs some sort of a sealant because I'm afraid that this paint will scratch right off if we're not careful, but I'm afraid of what to put on here that wouldn't just look goopy and take away from the clear glass. Now then, after everything was dry, I reattached the hat that was way more pliable and fit the snowman a lot better. Now, why the weird angle? Because I'm making a snowman nose with hot glue, and the way I decided to do that and to make it look like fit in with my glass was to use hot glue and let it drip from a plate, like a porcelain plate, so that it will not stick. Or you could use a silicone mat or something, anything that the hot glue is not going to stick to. Make a big dollop and let gravity do its own work, but don't, here's the trick, you can't let it drip completely down. Practice makes perfect. I made about 4 noses before I found the one that I wanted to use, and I think it turned out really cute. And I attached it with E6000, so it would be hard to break off. I was really happy to find these laser cut layer art designs at the Dollar Tree, and I wanted to pick this one up and see what we can do to make it cute. It's really simple design, it's easy to set up, and it does remind me of some that I see like at Home Goods and TJ Maxx. So let's see how this goes. I pictured this back piece being black, like night, and I wanted it to be a snowy night because you look, this kind of looks like a snow globe shape. So I painted the whole black, I painted the whole back piece with black acrylic paint. Then I used the paint splatter or the brush flicking technique to get some white paint splattered onto the black background to look like snow. And I went over this quite a bit. I wanted this to shine a lot. And while all that paint was still wet, the black paint and the white paint, I sprinkled just the tiniest bit, a little luster dust of silver glitter to give it an extra shine when it catches the light. And so now it looks like a starry sky too, which is good. The other 2 pieces I painted completely white with snow white chalk paint. And I even made sure to get in around the edges of all the little pieces. Now on the opposite side of the one we painted black, I wanted it to be stained so it would be finished, but I'm out of any kind of stain. But I do have these repair markers and it worked quite well. For the base, I just picked another color of this wood repair marker set. It was the maple color, I think, and I did that, and oh man, I'm loving using these markers for little wood projects. Now, you wouldn't want to do anything big, but these little projects would be just fine. Then just assemble your panels, and I did have one that stuck snugly, and the other 2 were kind of loose, so I'm using hot glue to fix the 2 that were loose, and that's it. And you could easily add some rice lights to this project. And you could paint both sides and possibly make this whole thing reversible scenes. It's like I could have done a daytime side and a nighttime side. This Christmas DIY is crazy fast and easy. I thrifted this thing a long time ago. I actually still had the footage. I just deleted it because I thought I wasn't ever going to use this sign. But look, here I am using it for Christmas. So I am going to turn this into a Christmas sign using Magnolia Design stencils. They're self-adhesive and they're really, really nice. You can find them now at thrift stores and yard sales if you hunt and look, along with the Chalk Couture, there's other companies, and you're even starting to find them like at Walmart and places like that now. So they're super simple. Lay them down, make sure they're stuck, make sure there's no air bubbles. Use a stencil brush to dry brush some chalk paint. It has to be chalk paint, any kind of chalk paint. It needs to be thick so that it doesn't bleed too much. And then you're going to get a perfect design when you peel this up. And for the last Christmas DIY today, we're going to do a little bit of decoupage. This is a little vase that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I've had it for a while. And this tissue paper is also from the Dollar Tree. The color of the design in this tissue paper is odd. It's kind of one of those gray colors that sort of can look different colors in different settings. So if I put this with my other green stuff, the eye thinks, or the mind thinks that it's green. So yay. Just cut a piece of the tissue paper that will cover the vase. Now this vase is tapered up toward the top, so there's going to be crinkles and wrinkles, and if you're not okay with that, then you might want to find a more cylinder type thing that does not taper. So I just work with it. When I get the Mod Podge put down, then I just kind of squeeze out the excess Mod Podge and kind of work the tissue paper around and work the wrinkles out. And if it tears, it tears. I do have tears in mine, but it just kind of makes it look like that old world pottery. Have you seen like Magnolia Design is what it reminds me of. I think it's really beautiful. Then coat the whole thing with some gloss or matte Mod Podge. It's your choice. And that's it. It's pretty as it is. So what do you think of all my new Christmas crafting ideas? I want to know what your favorite one is down in the comments below. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye!